I think what Boston needs is a definitely bona fide interior scorer. On the other side too, they just getting out coached. Their backs are against the wall, man.
Another day, another dollar.
And to make me want to holler.
I feel like I could just sit here and let you react to our opening as always, and that'd be the full podcast episode. It's a different rendition and variation of it every time that we go live. But hello to all of you out there again. Welcome to another episode of That's What Sheed Said. That's the man on the other side of the screen, Roscoe Rasheed Wallace, as he likes to be called. I'm Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob. We have some topics to discuss. We are filming this on a Monday morning following both conference finals being 3-0 in the NBA. So much to discuss, some stories to tell, as always, but we like to lead off our program with a moment in time where I have Rasheed Wallace go back into some point in his career and try and remember what happened on this day in Rasheed Wallace history. Some are easy, some are not. I got him last week with a little rookie hazing of Jayson Tatum, but today's Sheed is going to be it's going to be an easy day. Those are some great stories about it. If you haven't watched that, by the way, guys, watching this video, go back and watch the Jayson Tatum rookie hazing story. Today's date, June 6th. This is, again, an easy one. June 6th, 2005.
Mm-hmm. That's in San Antonio.
Oh, right before it.
Oh, was that late? So it had to been what, Indiana then?
No. Oh, thought you might get this right off the top. Who else did you play in the conference finals? Who did you close out this night? You had one of your best performances of your career.
Oh, Miami?
Yeah, in Miami. We have Game 7, 2000. For some reason, the final started much later in June, but
yeah,
we're gonna run.
That's why I was like, man.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. Me too. I can't believe the conference finals were this late. But Eastern Conference Finals, closeout game in Miami. You have discussed many times Shaquille O'Neal being on the floor. This is still very much prime Shaq here going up against Ben Wallace. There's Tayshaun Prince. But you hit a couple shots here down the stretch, which the highlight package will get to at some point. And at this, I guess at this point in the Pistons championship run here, you guys are probably feeling real good about yourselves. Champions, defending champs, headed back to the finals to face the Spurs. Got Antonio McDyess now. What was different about this year in Miami than the year before?
I mean, we still felt that energy, that same energy, like, all right, they're trying to come take what we got, what we earned, what we worked for, and we want another one. And, they wanted, they coming for what we got. So he's like, no, we can't allow that to happen. That was a great Miami team too, man. A young D Wade, a young God, aka Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
Man, that was a good team right there. A young, again, not necessarily young, but a younger, dominant force in Big Diesel. Man, that was a hell of a series right there between us, man.
You got Randy Moss. I believe that was Randy Moss sitting courtside. Shaq is still, he's trying to back down what we're watching right now in the highlights. I think he's backing down Antonio McDyess. He's not the spry Orlando Shaq or the LA Shaq, but still very much. Look at the size of that man standing next to Eldon Campbell. I think that's who it is. And he makes McDyess look minuscule. And I'd like to remind everyone, I've been with Rasheed in person. Like, Rasheed, you're a big guy, man. Compared to most people on the street. But Shaquille O'Neal is a different species when it comes to just sheer size of human. And to see him running the floor like this, chasing down Chauncey, and there you go, or Rip Hamilton goes with a couple of fadeaways. Here comes the shot, by the way. It's 80-79. This is still very much in the balance. The Eastern Conference is there. There you are with the tap back and in. I believe you hit a fadeaway as well. Larry Brown is there to greet you. And the fans are celebrating. It's just business as usual for you, huh?
Crazy.
20 points.
Man, that was good times, man. That was good times.
You always tell me, by the way, that you're not this scorer. You were never the main guy. Yet every time we run one of these highlight packages back from from a round or a closeout game. Like you matched Dwayne Wade's points this night, and you just do what you're asked. But man, whether you're hitting the closeout shot from 3, you're yelling at the Indiana crowd, "I told y'all, motherfuckers! I told y'all!" And I'm starting to think you're a little bit more than just "I'll do what the coach says," Sheed.
Oh yeah, I mean it's all about being efficient, but but check it. If you look at it now, I think it said what 8 for 13. Shit, you got some guys now that's taking at least 13 threes a game. You know what I'm saying? Minimum. And so for me, it was just spread out throughout the game. But again, that's what I always go back to with being efficient. You have to be efficient with shots. You can't just put shots up. Or I take it back. You do have some players who are who they are, big scorers who put up a lot of shots. We've always had it in the NBA. And for me, I'm not one to take a lot of shots. I'll be efficient, but no, shit. Especially if I'm on a team with other cats that can play, no, we gonna spread this wealth. We all gonna eat. Like it was fun playing with McDice that year because that was his first year coming after we won it. So it was like, man, one thing we was always saying to him, like, yeah, Dice, we're going to get you one. We're going to go back, this and that, da-da-da-da-da. And, man, it was a hell of a year, a fun year. And this series right here, man, it was fun on and off the court. Running into some of those crazy Miami fans. Down there on South Beach, we got our families, and you out with your wives, and of course you still going to do you. You might go to the club or the bar with your wife or whoever, and you got the Miami fans, but it wasn't nothing disrespectful though. You know what I'm saying? People just let you know, like, oh, we're going to bust y'all ass tomorrow. Da-da-da. I'm like, all right, we're going to give y'all this gas. We're going to give y'all everything y'all fucking want. Da-da-da-da-da. So it was never nothing like, well, come do something about it then. Like, nah. But it was always fun, man. But it was in the spirit of competition.
We've been doing this show long enough that I can recognize when you leave an Easter egg in your answers. And when you say that it was as fun off the court, it makes me want to inquire and probe a little bit further. Then I want to hear about some of these stories on South Beach during a conference finals, because this is the conference finals. You're supposed to be locked in playing hoops. But if you're telling me you had some fun, were there some stories that are able to be told publicly than just going out with your wives? I know the wives aren't staying out till 3 a.m., are they? What kind of trouble you get into down there in South Beach?
All right.
I know, Sheed.
All right. So check this out. So here it is. So that sign game, that game 7, we're down there in Miami, and we all out and about. It's about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So, again, as I told you, it's all in the spirit of fun and competition. So we had some Miami fans called the news media. It was like, hey, the Pistons is in here, man. They got the most important game tomorrow, their career, blah, blah, blah. And so, all right, one of the news cameras came down and bit the bait, right? So we in the club and everything. We all with our ladies and having a good time, and we come out. And like they don't come up in our face and nothing. They filming us from a distance and shit, right? So the shit was hilarious. So boom, we ain't thinking nothing of it. Excuse me. And at the time, we didn't see them, right? So boom, all right, everybody go back to the hotel. Boom, you knock out. We get up the next morning, shoot around. So we on the bus, and we get into the locker room. So coach like, all right. I mean, excuse me, not the locker room. We get on the court, and coach like, all right, well. He's like, hey, guys. He's like, yeah, I'm glad to see all you guys are here. And then, we was like, what you mean, coach? He's like, yeah, shit. Seeing you guys on the news last night. We was like, what? On the news? And he's like, yeah. He's like, shit, that must have been one hell of a party leaving the club at 4 a.m.
Oh,
we was like, oh, shit.
Y'all better win Game 7 then, right?
Oh, yeah. That was the thing. He was like, look. One thing Coach always said, though, and I think he might have got this phrase from the late, great Dean Smith, was if you're going to hoop with the Owls, you got to be able to soar with the Eagles. So if you're going to be out all night partying and this and that, know you got that responsibility that you got to perform or you got to be up in the morning to be able to go to work and start this shit. Is everybody can't do that. Some try, but some can't. Everybody can't do that. So coach was like, all right, he was like, and gave us that look like you motherfuckers better win tonight too. Hey, it was funny as shit. Wow,
You're telling me that those words, can you say it again, the Owls Eagles thing? That came out of Dean Smith's mouth at some point, which is insane to think about. If you're going to be up with the Owls, you got to soar with the Eagles?
If you're going to who with the Owls, you got to be able to soar with the Eagles. So in the college terms, coach, his main thing, he liked to practice early afternoon. So if you look at it on the college part, yeah, you might be out. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. You in the frat court or whatever. You drinking. So, of course you got some guys who was late to practice or come there smelling like the brewery or whatever. But, that's normal.
I'm glad I probed. I'm glad I wouldn't have gotten that unless you left those little Easter eggs, Sheed. That's why we do this. And we've known each other long enough now that I'm like, there might be something else there, and there certainly was. Now, I'd like to use that video as a segue to take us to current times, because if you were to go back and just rewatch us watching that highlight package at the 6:28 mark in the second quarter, Rasheed steps into a trail three that pulls Shaquille O'Neal out of the paint. And I've always credited you and Sam Perkins are the first for me while I've been alive of big men that were able to stretch the floor in today's age of the game. You can't even make the NBA unless you're a center that shoots 30-something% from three and you're getting them up in big volume. But at the time, the scores were in the 70s for a reason because of all the spacing, the clogged paint, mid-range game, difficulty of shot. You and Sam Perkins, to me, were one of the first big guys to continuously get opposing centers out of the paint. And to see Shaq have to scramble and run after you when you drilled that trail three, he wasn't even close to closing out despite his size, athleticism, and that's a way to get him out of the paint. That is something that we talked about at the beginning of the Lakers versus Nuggets series in present day of 2023 is, can Jokic get AD out of the paint, and can AD do the same to Jokic? And ultimately, one of those has been answered a lot more sufficiently than the other. And we will get to the Lakers and Nuggets series again when we're filming this, both of which are 3-0. So we will operate with the context and info that we have. But I'd like to start off with, because I feel like we had a very successful convo last time about Doc Rivers and being in the locker room. And I almost want to follow that up with now, because of your experience in Boston, as well as you identifying what's going on between the Heat and the second-seeded Boston Celtics, is the sentiment that Joe Mazzulla has lost the locker room. Okay, it's not word for word, but people are saying it out loud. So I want to ask you, first and foremost, before we get to this specific example, how do you know as a player when a coach has lost the locker room?
When he can't talk to people who fucking up face to face or in front of everybody, that's when he lost it. Like, all right, let's just say I'm gonna give you a quick example. You the coach of the team, I'm a player, no matter if I'm the star player or not. And, I come in the game, and as soon as I come in, it's like 3 straight turnovers for me. I gave up 8 points, and I gave up the 50-50 ball and did just bad shit. But yet, I hit a shot, or, again, if I'm the star, I fucked up. And you coming to me, you looking at me under your breath, you saying shit to everybody on the sideline as far as your coaching staff, but you're not saying it directly to that player. That's when you lost that respect. When you lose that respect of that player, that's when you lose that locker room. And for me, in my era, when we definitely respected coaches who played this game before. We definitely gonna come straight out, and tell you that those who, not saying that the guys who didn't play the game, not saying you can't coach and this and that, but the players who playing this shit respect those coaches who played. No matter if it's the head coach, GM, assistant coach, the third coach, the development coach, whoever. If you played this game before, the players respect you for that.
You told a story last week about being on this same Boston Celtics team under Doc Rivers, and he would give you a game plan or strategy in the huddle, and then you, KG, Ray Allen, and Rondo be like, fuck that, we're going to do this. And there were times when you came out of the huddle, and that to me, from an outsider's looking in opinion, would be if you're not even retaining anything you're wasting your time sitting on the bench listening to him because you know you're just going to change the game plan as soon as you get out of the huddle anyway. Do you feel like that happens often, or is that more for an extreme veteran team only like you guys were in Boston? Because I wouldn't even consider the current Celtics veteran enough to be like freestyling and improving their own game plan completely different in the antithesis of whatever Joe Mazzulla is drawing up.
Well, I know that's why we were on. Yeah, we were a bunch of veterans, and you pretty much can only do that more with veteran teams because we had that game experience. Because here again, we're not just focusing on this one particular player, this one particular individual. We already thinking 3-4 steps ahead. So they just might be thinking about, okay, I got to make sure I come off this screen so I can hit this shot. No, we already thinking like, all right, he going to come off this screen, try to hit this shot. We're going to step up right here. Then the man on the ball, he going to shift. Then the other dude, all you going to do is bump up, switch. One dude cover the basket, play center field. Just that veteran shit. But here's the thing. You don't do it every time. Like, you don't just, even if you don't fuck with the coach, you can't just come out the huddle every time and be like, oh, man, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. No. You got to be on that same game plan because especially if you might not fuck with him, if he was saying the right things, then and is on the right page with everybody else, then you got to go with it. But say the attitude shit for later, but you still got to go out there and play. But again, you can't just break up or break off everything that the coach say all the time. And I think for me, what's happening now with Boston, they saying he lost the locker room. Possibly, could be. They've never been in this at this point before, especially during the season. There's a lot of pressure that it's under. And then think about it. Shit, 3-0 in both East and West finals. Has that ever been done before? Has that ever happened?
No, it's the first time that there would be two sweeps, I think, in conference finals history. I need to look that up, but I thought I may have heard that. Hockey has some stuff going on that every game in their conference finals is gone to overtime. It's been a weird conference finals. We'll look that up, but let me just counter one thing that you said there, that Boston has not been here before, and my counter argument to that is first of all, they were just in the finals, and I know you were probably referencing being down 3-0. But last year during the finals, let's not act like Joe Mazzulla was just he was just created in a lab by Brad Stevens once Udoka left or got relieved of his duties. Mazzulla was one of the lead assistants on that bench, and you have spoken about the responsibilities of those assistants. They become almost coordinators in football. Your responsibilities are shooting, player personnel, offense, defense. They each have something they're very specific for. So Mazzulla was very much ingrained and entrenched with the Boston culture that got them to the finals last year. Ultimately, they fell short, but I would consider a finals appearance for last year's Celtics to still be a successful season. So now that he gets the responsibility of being the head coach and all of the success and failures fall on his shoulder, regardless if his coordinators or his assistant coaches are drawing up a proper game plan, we have now seen, let's call it, several examples in which it's tough for me because, to your point, I haven't played in the NBA. And I just have an outsider's opinion. But to see the Game 5 against the Philadelphia 76ers, where he's continuing to go to drop coverage and just get gashed to death for 2 hours, and the Sixers steal that game in Boston. He responded by going to their jumbo lineup in Game 6 to have Robert Williams be a free safety. So he deserves credit for that, and they ultimately came back to win that series. But then it's always as if Eric Spoelstra is right there to recognize when Mazzulla is trying to steal minutes with Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum on the bench, and then you get the Miami 2-3 zone, and then the Celtics just get lost for 90 seconds and they lose 8 points. And just like that, you're down double digits in a elimination playoff game, which is really difficult to come back from. So there are now multiple examples of, I guess, Mazzulla putting them in a position to fail as opposed to succeed, and now the players aren't necessarily retaining his direction, and it's turning into this domino effect into what we have now. So that's a long-winded way of me getting to the question that if you were general manager, based on your experience as a player, as a mentor, and a coach, and with you watching these 3 games, if you were general manager, what would your course of action be with Joe Mazzulla moving forward? Has he shown you enough that he should get a second chance on a team that their worst season sheet was a conference finals appearance?
Yeah, definitely give him another chance. You can't just hire him and praise the man 1 year and then ready to hang him the next and fire him after, again, going to the finals. You definitely got to give him another chance, especially give him a chance to bring some of his guys in there. That's one thing that a lot of people don't think about, because when you're that assistant coach, yeah, you might like your team, but those aren't your guys. And what I mean by that is that head coach, he's going to draft the guys, or he's going to trade for the guys that he liked compared to his coaching style. So, with Joe, I think what Boston needs is a definitely bona fide interior scorer. You got your wing player. You got everything you need on the wings. You got Jayson Tatum. You got Jaylen Brown. You got Marcus Smart. You got Malcolm Brogdon. You got your wing players. You got them. You got your defenders, all that. But the interior scoring now, no disrespect in the Al, but Al ain't a 5. Al's a 4. You know what I'm saying? And back when I played, he was a 4. He was always a 4. It just so happened now he had to get converted and plays the 5, but he ain't big enough as far as height. Like, that's the one thing that always shocked me about why the fucking Embiid didn't go down there and destroy things. But, Al's a tough nut to crack. So I think they definitely need some interior play there. You need definitely bona fide shot blocker. Somebody who could change shots. You don't necessarily need them to do all your scoring, but you need that big man to get a bucket. Because your main scorer, you already know, is coming from Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So I just need this big man to block a couple shots, change some shot ups, grab me some rebounds, play tough when we play big defenders like Embiid, like Joker, like Cat, like Rudy Gobert. When you play the big, true 7-footers, all right, we're going to go match up with them. But at nights, too, hey, you go in there, look, I need a good solid 10, 12 minutes from you, big fella. Give me all the rebounds and all the blocks you can. You know what I'm saying? Then when you playing against big centers, he's going to play more. But I think that's what they need to do, in my opinion, because that's what's hurting them the most, because Miami just getting to the cup because they know it ain't no shot blockers. And on the other side, too, they just getting out coached. Spoelstra is a good coach. He's been at it for a minute. He's been here. He's been in these conference finals. He's been to the finals. He's done won it. As that coach and that member of the Heat organization as far as in the front office. So he's been here before. He has the experience. So yeah, he's gonna put that check in the Miami Heat box when it comes to the coaching, and that's what's happening right now. So their backs are against the wall, man.
I don't know if it's 2 names that will satisfy the Celtics fans' lust for blood at this point, but DeAndre Ayton sounds like he might be available for trade. Christian Wood will be out there. I don't know if those are bona fide 5s that satisfy all of what you were just describing, but there should be an opportunity for Boston to be able to get those guys without having to break up the Jays. Also, staying on this series, because you are the sensei of trash talking, both receiving and delivering, okay? And when I say receiving, that we have discussed Chauncey's story about how he would almost bait the refs into pissing you off so that you'd get mad and play better and you liked it when guys were talking to you. And you know where I'm going with this, because we now have 2 examples from the Eastern Conference Finals series alone. Al Horford, I think it was game 1, who gets on a knee and he's telling Miami, you got to call timeout right in their face. Ultimately, they lose that game. Jimmy Butler last night gets right in Al Horford's face as the series is ending and gives him the same exact tee. You've got Grant Williams in game 2 getting into Jimmy Butler's face up by 9. And I like to consider myself the moderator of this show and someone that tries to go down the middle and let you start off the opinions. But, you know, if I'm wearing that hat, Grant Williams, you know, you can't just bow down before Jimmy Butler and say, yes, sir, yes, master, if he's going to be barking you, because then he'll own you the entire time. So I commend Grant Williams for being competitive, but there is most certainly a healthy balance of things you should and shouldn't do. And the moment Grant Williams gets into Jimmy Butler's face, that 9-point lead evaporates, and we are now in a situation that we have a potential sweep coming up here. So as a master yourself of trash talk, do you support what Grant Williams did? Have you ever done something like that and come to regret it at a later time? So a 2-part question, and I would love to hear you support your answer with an example of like, oh shit, I just realized I fucked up.
Well, for that whole Grant Williams and Al Horford doing that, especially with Al, that ain't Al game. Al ain't no trash talker. You know, Al's a good player. You know, I ain't saying he a punk or anything, but Al ain't no trash talker. Grant Williams, yeah, he's been in that position before to be a shit talker because he was getting buckets down there at Tennessee. I ain't gonna hold you, but now you on a team where you ain't the man. So and you already know my main thing with trash talking. Hey, if you gonna talk shit, you got to be able to back it up. Other than that, you gonna look like a fool. AKA how it's happening with Dylan Brooks. AKA like you just said with game 1 and game 2. I mean game 1 and game 3. So, I mean you gotta be able to back it up. And right now they're not backing shit up. You know, like all they doing is selling wolf tickets. Yeah, it sounds good. That's like you getting in a fight in school and you telling the guy, yeah, I'm going to beat your ass at 3 o'clock when we get outside, da-da. And everybody like, ooh, it's going to be a fight after school, ooh. And you get outside, and this kid pummels you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it ain't no fight. And that's what's happening. Like, he like, oh, you want to talk shit? Okay, I got you. Come on. Oh, yeah, 3 o'clock. And that's what South Beach Jim did. You seen he took the headbutt, like, okay, let's turn it up. Where Williams fucked up was at that moment, he should have turned it up too, and he didn't. That's the one thing about trash talking. You can't just sit there and say it, sell wolf tickets. No, you got to turn everything up. Turn all volumes up. Speed, IQ, your physicality, you know what I'm saying? Just everything with the game because you got to back up what you said. And if not, what? It's going to be, well, front of the back page on every damn newspaper in the country, or you know, on the headlines of every .com newspaper in the country. Oh, just imagine. Ooh, here's my example. Okay, you want the example? Wow, here's my example. Just imagine when I hit my guarantee against Indiana. Can you imagine if Indiana would have won? That they would still be talking about that shit to this day. Oh man, remember that time when Wallace did this and that? Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, they still be talking shit about that to this day. But hey, gotta back it up. And the thing about it that I like, South Beach Jim, his guy seen it. You know, he's like, hey, turn that shit up. Let's step on the gas. Drive through this damn wall. And that's what they doing, man. That's what they doing.
So I will give Grant Williams credit because he did end up scoring 2, maybe not straight, but he had 2 buckets right after that altercation occurred. But Jimmy was just relentless. He gave him like 10, it felt like. So Grant Williams ended up
Jimmy
scoring.
got the light.
No, I know. That Grant Williams ended up scoring in game 2. He ended up scoring the last 3 Celtics field goals of the entire team. So I'm sitting here evaluating what just happened after game 2, and I'm like, are we laughing at the right person? If he's the one who ultimately it wasn't enough, and if you're going to talk shit to Jimmy, 3's not enough. It's got to be like 10 to your point, but it is Grant Williams, and when everyone's saying you're not that guy, because if you're trying to go shot for shot with Jimmy, then you're going to have Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown over here standing watching you like try and get into this battle with Jimmy. That's never ever going to turn out beneficial for the Celtics in that case. Go ahead.
True. And here on the other side of that too, it's like, look, if you doing some shit talking, man, and you know you ain't that guy, that don't mean you gotta turn it up on offense. That means you gotta turn that shit up on defense. Because now I got him every fucking possession. You know what I'm saying? On offense, you might not be able to get to shoot every possession. Shit, you might go 5 trips up and down the court where, of course, playing with JT and Jaylen Brown, you might not get a chance to shoot. But guess what you could do? Every possession is D the fuck up, and that's what he didn't do. You can't trash talk nobody when you not the man on the team. If you the man on the team and you can come down and say, fuck with the coach today, and you take every and any shot you want, 3 hands in your face. Oh, I'm gonna still take this 3-pointer. Everybody they double teaming you. No, I'm gonna just throw it off his leg. I ain't passing to nobody. If you the star, yeah, you can do that. But he ain't the star. He ain't the star. You can't do that when you're not the star unless you turn it up on defense. And what Buckets turned it up on both ends.
Right.
South Beach Gym turned it up on both ends after both of those altercations or whatever. South Beach Gym turned it up on both ends. That's all I can say.
As Luka Doncic once said, famously, everyone acts tough when they're up. And they were up by 9 points at that moment. It's easy to get into Jimmy's face knowing you got a little bit of a safety net, but boy, you better hold on to it because it's going to be even worse. And that takes me back to the guaranteed, and I want to follow up with this because the guaranteed occurred well before the game even tipped off. All right? You're out there barking, I guarantee we are going to beat these guys' ass in game 2. That enables the ability for the Pacers to use that as bulletin board material, to game plan around you, to potentially bait you, to do all of these things. And you had to go out there for 2.5 hours with this self-inflicted burden on your shoulders that many would consider because you made the guaranteed. Did that change your game at all? Because now I'm trying to marry the two together between you and Grant Williams. Did it make you feel like, ooh, now I'm responsible for the scoring or making sure that I'm the giving the most effort on the defensive end when you make a declaration or you do something like Grant Williams did? Does your mindset change in terms of how you play the game?
Not really, but again, you're challenging yourself and you're turning everything up. You know, because as that player, I don't care what sport you play, as that player, you know, or you should know, you know, if you going hard every play or, you know what I'm saying, are you giving it your all every possession, offense or defense? And when I hit my guarantee shit, one, I was like, all right, I felt like not only with myself, but with my teammates, yeah, we were good. We was playing in a good game, but we were just competing with them. I'm like, man, I seen us play better. It's a lot more in us. And I'm like, man, I know. And then it's little shit like that game or that game 1 they beat us to the 50-50 balls. They shot better than us. And it was like, man, he ain't never make them damn shots the whole season, and now all of a sudden he want to make these fucking shots. So it was, to us, it was like that. So it was like, all right, I know we going to beat game 2. I guarantee y'all can put it on the front page, back page, middle of the paper, wherever. We going to beat game 2. And with that, it was like, okay, I got to make sure that I do everything that I can in my power to make sure that we win game 2. And again, for a majority of it, with my thinking, defense every possession. I'm playing with other Hall of Famers. I'm playing with Ben. I'm playing with Chauncey, Tayshaun, Rip, and these are guys who can play. I'm playing with two of the best guards and best shooters at their position, Rip Hamilton and Mr. Big Shot. I mean, shit, they don't call him Mr. Big Shot for nothing. And then Tayshaun wasn't no chop suey himself. Tayshaun had that lefty going up there. You know what I'm saying? So we had options. I didn't have to score every time. It wasn't called on me to get the ball to run through me every time. Pick your poison. Unlike when I was playing in Portland during those years, they wanted me to be the man and take all the damn shots. No, that's not how I rock and roll. So now I'm like, shit, I'm feeling pretty good. So
did any of those
picked everything up, man?
Did any of those Pacers players come up to you before tip-off? Because they had Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, who you have a long history with. I think Jamal Tinsley may have been out there. They got some, you want to talk about woofers. They got, I imagine they're like, oh, we saw, we heard, and they're trying to maybe get in your head or under your skin a little bit. Did they try? I know it ultimately failed, but I feel like one of them had to be like, oh, we heard you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they heard me. I got, we were all still friends off of the court, but we knew it was at stake. We knew we were all competitors. We was going to compete on the court no matter what. So, yeah, they tell me, man, motherfucker, you crazy. Like, Jermaine O'Neal hitting me like, man, you crazy. You full of shit saying that bullshit. We going to beat y'all ass again. And, Stack 5 calling me. So, yeah, they definitely like, man, get out of here with that bullshit shit. You full of shit. And before the game, this is back when guys used to pretty much stand at half court, and we used to exchange pleasantries and shit, good and bad, shit talking included at half court sometimes and shit. But it was all again in the spirit of fun and competition. So we went out there. I knew that if we playing against each other, we homies. But you gonna try to bust my ass. Just like I'm going to try to bust your ass. Ain't going to be no dirty play. I ain't trying to hit you nothing dirty. It's just, hey, if you get the best of me, it's like, damn, all right. After the game, we're going to catch some bruise or a grub or some shit. But, yeah, man, it's all bringing me back. It's all nostalgia right about now. Around this time of year, conference finals. It's all good.
It's the way that you're smiling, it's making me feel like, hey, Rasheed's got an itch to get back into this a little bit. He's starting to miss it, whether it's from a plagues. It sounds like you want to dress up and get some shots up in this conference finals just to give Jimmy Butler I still got it, Jimmy. I'll be here to talk to it with you. That's
them motherfuckers will run through me right now.
The last question / topic regarding the Heat here that I'd like to bring up to you and get your thoughts on, because I do a post-game talk show with fans, and one in particular asked a question which kind of had me thinking, and I found interesting. And it's that because the Miami Heat have 7 undrafted players, is what we've been hearing, and they were practically outscoring the entire Celtics team themselves at one point in the first half last night, that how are the Miami Heat able to be this one team that can go out and find Caleb Martins of the world, Cody Zellers, Max Strus, these guys who at some point were either disregarded, left for dead, or not paid enough attention to because they were undrafted, and they're able to assemble. This isn't even the question because they have good scouts, Spoelstra's coaching. Those are always the answers there. But my question to you is, because you were at one point a highly touted first-round pick that played alongside stars, but also, since it's a 15-man roster, I'm going to imagine even on the great teams, there were guys that were either 10 days, 2 ways, second-round picks with training camp invites only. And how do you get these guys at the end of the bench to buy into the level that we're seeing on the Miami Heat right now? Is it because their contracts are not guaranteed and they are much more of a yes, sir, thank you? No, you're shaking your head. Or is this just an outlier situation in which Spoelstra is extracting all of the potential and talent out of these guys because they don't have guaranteed deals, Sheed? They can't fall back on being a first-round pick and I'm getting paid anyway. If I was an undrafted player, I would have ambition in trying to prove in my very limited playing time that I'm a scorer, I'm worthy of the big money, and therefore I need to have high usage. The Heat, their players are all part of the damn system, and they're willing to do it. So I don't even know if there's a question there. I more so just want to get your thoughts on these undrafted players being on a roster and how they integrate with someone like you who has guaranteed money and guaranteed playtime.
It's two things. One is Pat Riley. I mean, if y'all like him or not, Pat Riley knows what he's doing down there. He's always been one to have tough basketball teams. Even when he was coaching, he's going to draft. He don't give a fuck about who everybody else looking at. You could be looking at this kid. Yeah, he's going to look at, okay, yeah, this kid, da-da-da-da. But he's going to draft somebody or, pick up somebody in a trade or something who, again, flies under the radar because with his workouts, he could tell right then and there, like, all right, yeah, I got a tough kid right here. Or, I got a guy who could do this, fits well with us. He knows, again, I think I mentioned it on the show before, but he already set that culture down there. So now you're looking at guys who might be going to D2 schools, NAIAs, JUCOs, or whatever the case may be, that's hard-nosed and that probably could fit that Miami style, and that's what's happening. And also it goes, to me, that goes to the point where they had that advantage because now none of those guys is really on a scouting report. I mean, they are now, but just think about it, throughout the season, they might not have got the playing time or, I might have had maybe one good game. So everybody thinking, okay, that one good game, I was lucky because I hit 5 threes or, you know what I'm saying, something like that. But if you got a team full of guys like that, then it helps you also because now here it is like the NCAA tournament. As you said, it ain't got nothing to, really, it don't have nothing to do with too much with contracts. But you got to think, if I'm not the star or bona fide guaranteed money, shit, I might not be here next year. So I'm going all out right now. Now. I might not be here. Shit, I got a chance. Can you imagine what those guys are saying to themselves at home or in the locker room? Like, shit, man, we one game away from the finals. Like, I grew up watching this on TV, this and that, that you living their hoop dreams. But next year, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that they're going to be in that same position. It's not guaranteed that they're even going to be in Miami.
And I don't want to make it
sound the most of it right now.
For sure. I don't want to make it sound like Miami is the only franchise in the NBA that is trying to develop second round and
no, they're not.
Undrafted talent. Everyone else has scouts. Everyone else has G League affiliates in which they're trying to replicate what the Heat are doing. But the difference is now that they have been thrust into these playoff minutes between those names that I just mentioned. Gabe Vincent is another. Haywood Highsmith. The Heat not only have this plan and strategy which works, but they have buy-in from these undrafted players who should naturally have ambition about wanting to continue to get contracts. You're an undrafted player, Sheed. You're making, in today's NBA, maybe $500,000 on a flyer or a 10-day deal. Like, that's a lot of money to most people, but compared to what they're making in the first round, that's not enough to live off of the rest of your life.
And with that $500,000, right? That could be my contract, like you said. If we win this championship, shit, I know I'm gonna get more than that just off of endorsements alone. Because now I'm a champion. You're gonna get the money when you get that ring. And like I said, I might not get here again. So I'm gonna go all out. I'm buying into what the coach say. I'm buying into what the main dudes on the team say. If he like, all right, look, hit me when you come off the screen. I'm gonna do everything. All right, got you. Boom. Do whatever. I can get me a ring.
Yeah.
Man.
And this is just a way of hat tipping the Miami Heat that they were able to create this atmosphere and culture that they were able to get the buy-in from these players to do their role and really just only their role. I haven't seen Gabe Vincent step outside of being this pit bull on-ball defender, stretching the floor, three-point
Right.
guy. He's not waving dudes off saying, I got this shit, let me go ISO. Max Strus in trail threes. All these other, Caleb Martin off the ball, like he's getting every 50-50 ball himself, keeping shit alive on the glass, hitting corner threes when he's only open. The Heat always seem to have wide open threes, and that is for a reason. Even someone like Kevin Love that came in off of waivers, the Heat players do their roles only, and they do them above expectation. And staying within that parameter, if you will, is allowing the stars in Jimmy Butler and the veterans like Kyle Lowry or the defenders in Bam Adebayo to really take on more of the responsibility on their shoulders to do more, because we know we don't have any liabilities out here and other guys that are going to step beyond into their ambition, of which most other teams have to deal with. When that second round pick finally gets his PT on the Houston Rockets or the Charlotte Hornets or the Pistons or something in today's age, they're going out there chucking, trying to prove like I'm that guy and I should be around for a while. But the Heat have found the sweet spot. And for that, they are going to be rewarded with the trip to the finals, period.
Yeah.
All right. We've gone now 45 minutes without mentioning the word Lakers yet, which I'm very proud of. Because the Lakers are the easiest thing to talk about because of their audience size. But you're close with Darvin Ham, personally and business and playing. I'm curious, have you spoken to him at all in the playoffs or this series specifically?
Yeah, I have. And I would say 80% of our conversation is not basketball. It's just, just life, because right now I can only imagine the stress he going through, and everybody that's probably was calling him is talking basketball. Oh man, you need to do this, Bron, AD, da-da-da-da-da. No, that should have drive coach crazy hearing that shit all day. No, I ain't talking basketball. Yo, and believe it or not, I would probably say the funniest thing, and I guess that's all part of it, because being a basketball fan himself, he was talking about the Boston game. He was like, man, he said he liked the way that Miami is playing, and they playing together and this and that. I was like, yeah, just agreeing with that. Then we got to talking about other things, talking about the fight, just talking about a bunch of other stuff in life. How's the family and this and that. So it's you got to go try to keep a level mind, because now here it is. How you lose the locker room is if you see this coach is under pressure, and he know, that he know, and upstairs know that he under pressure. Then now every slightest little thing is tension. But no, you got to be, not saying necessarily carefree, but hey, you got to relax. You know what I'm saying? And also go into it with a clear head. I can't go into it with tension. It's a big game for me. I can't go into it with tension. So, no, we just talk about family stuff, man. Family stuff.
And running the risk of, I want to ask the question carefully so that your words don't get aggregated or taken out of context. But, just naturally in this conversation, did he either tell you, or did you feel the sentiment as if if they get swept out of the conference finals, that's ultimately short, not the way they want to go out. But do you feel like he's proud of what they accomplished this year regardless?
Yeah, definitely. I can say that, because I had mentioned it to him, like, damn, dog, y'all was 2-10, 2-12. I was like, look at y'all. No, he didn't throw the towel in. He's still making his game plan and saying that, look, all you got to do is start with one. We can't think about trying to get 4 in a row, trying to get 3 in a row. He said, we just got to start with one, Roscoe. I was like, that's it. And you start with that one, and then it went to, man, remember when we did this and that, and da-da-da-da-da. So it's not, like I said, it's try to keep his mind at ease. I'm not trying to bring no pressure on my guy. You know what I mean? Just keep him at ease.
Fair enough. They're still in it as of the moment of filming this. They may not be by the time the world sees this, but nice to know that. And the reason why I asked you that, I guess on a personal level, is just because the Lakers are an outlier example of pressure and fan base size. And you can either be the most popular person in the entire Los Angeles metro area, or you can be the complete opposite. And while they're winning and they're beating the Grizzlies and they beat the Warriors, he's not paying for a drink or a meal at any point on Figueroa Boulevard or street here in downtown LA. But you get swept. How quickly they're going to forget about all of those W's, and you're the guy that got us swept out of the playoffs. That type of volatility in life, affects people in different ways. So just based on the generalization of the conversation that the two of you had, sounds like, I'm still here doing my job. We didn't get here by accident, and we'll see. I don't know if this is a Joe Mazzulla situation in which there's going to be a huge reevaluation of they should be moving forward, because I thought the Lakers did respond to Darvin Ham's coaching and what they say about him, the sentiment that's carried in the locker room in these post games, coming back from 13th place before the All-Star break. They make the trade. They get back into it to a conference finals. They may ultimately get swept, but I don't know if you can consider the season a failure if they do get swept. So maybe we'll do the funeral or the obituary at a later time. But Darvin Ham is still swinging for the Los Angeles Lakers. As we come to a close here, we'll get to respect the game here in just a second. But with Wembanyama going to the San Antonio Spurs, I'm curious, as I crown you all this entire time as a revolutionary big man that was one of the first to stretch the floor, outside in type player that could still defend the rim. And this Wembanyama, you want to talk about big guys like Shaq? We're talking 7'4" point guard skills that is pulling from 35 feet. Is doing what you were doing at the rim. I'm kind of just curious. Have you watched him play? Do you have any thoughts? Is it he doesn't mean shit to me until he steps foot on the NBA against this type of talent? I have no clue. I just want to hear how your brain works.
I saw him play before. Pretty good talent. Again, to be that size and be able to do good ball handling like that. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But I've also seen him, get his ass busted before, where he's playing against bigger European players and bigger in size, and they giving them the blues, elbows, shoulders, dunking on him. So he's going to have to figure it out somehow, some way, sooner than later, especially being a number one pick, because that's pressure right there. I'm pretty sure he will get good development along the way with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. I guarantee you they'll step in there somewhere and help the young fella out with good tutelage. But yeah, I think it's gonna be tough on him a little bit, man, because with him being so thin, and if you look at a majority of the centers in the league today, they're not thin. Like Embiid is not a little dude. Embiid about 320 something pounds. Cat's not a little dude. He's about probably close to 300 pounds, 280 or 285, something like that. And you got other people in the league. They're not skinny dudes, but this dude, he's 7'4", probably like about 205, 210. I don't know, but we're going to see, though. It's going to be interesting. I'll definitely be watching, for sure, to see how he matches up against other NBA talents, other, great talents being up here on this level.
The good news is, I think they've already said publicly that Tony Parker, Boris Diaw, Manu Ginobili are all already committed because he's a Spur, that they're going to commit to mentoring him at times throughout the season. And then, of course, and
that's normal, though. That's normal.
Yeah. No, I totally. So he's got that in his corner. But to your point, I've seen him get his ass busted by Kenny Lofton Jr. and Scoot Henderson at some point, or at least go shot for shot. But there hasn't been hype for a player like this since LeBron, and I would consider the hype for Wembanyama to be even more than Zion, because Zion was second to LeBron, at least in my lifetime, because I wasn't here for Len Bias and I wasn't here for Ralph Sampson.
Yeah.
Or
Lenny Bias. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, the hype, what I've read and seen, in documentaries, how much hype. There was no social media back then, but during my lifetime, those three names, I would say Wembanyama comes in second compared to the hype that was for LeBron James. But still, those are some big shoes to fill on a team that is not going to be very good. Wembanyama still may kill it, but a reality check is going to come very quickly because the talent level, while they're not 7'4" with point guard skills, it's they're pretty damn good at the NBA. And Kenny Lofton giving you hell. Wait till Giannis gets his hands on you or something like that. I'm interested. I'm not skeptical. I'm just cautiously optimistic, I think is the appropriate term for where I'm at with Wembanyama. But good to hear. All right, last segment, as always, is going to be Respect the Game. She did have a different player in which he was going to use for today's episode. This is where Rasheed goes back in time and tells you a little bit about someone that you may or may not be familiar with. But right as we went live, there was news about Carmelo Anthony retiring from the NBA officially. He hasn't played in quite some time, but we get his official announcement. And I figure because Denver is, headed to the finals as well, that we get Rasheed's what's the final song of a concert where they're they're going to the lighter. This is your time to tell us about your experience with Carmelo Anthony and maybe something that we don't know about him.
Man, let me see. Well, as y'all can guess, that today's Respect the Game player is Carmelo Anthony. He was the third pick overall in the 2003 draft by the Denver Nuggets, and had a pretty good career. 10-time NBA All-Star. 2013 NBA scoring champion. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong too, Wob, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Or is it
2 or 3? Yeah, it was. I mean, he's considered the greatest basketball Olympian of all time.
That's great feats right there, y'all. So,
yeah.
And overall, Melo was always NCAA champion with Syracuse. And overall, Melo was a hellacious player, man. He was one of those guys, instant offense, just add water. As his career went on, his defensive prowess picked up. I had the pleasure of playing with him in New York for that 2012-2013 season, and he won his NBA scoring title. And man, just to see that, I was so happy for the young fella, man. Something to add to his accomplishments as a player. I was always hoping he was able to get a NBA ring, but just wasn't in the cards for him. But man, shit. Plus, Melo scored the gang of points too. He was one of those offensive guys where you definitely had to double team him unless you had another, top-notch all-star going up against him. But man, Melo 5, man, that's my guy. He's a good dude off the court, man. Family man, low key. He don't like to do too much rah-rah shit. He got a good head on his shoulders, business-minded. Man, I love the things that Melo is doing, man. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he had a great career. He came through it pretty much unscathed, where it's no detrimental injuries. So you always got to tip your hat to that. And man, that's my guy, man. Today's Respect the Game player is Carmelo Anthony to me.
For a long time, Carmelo caught, I don't know, I want to say a bad reputation, but he was always going to be compared to LeBron and I guess Wade to an extent, because they ended up winning some titles together in Miami, but he could never really conquer LeBron individually, and therefore people in the heat of the moment would say he's not a bust, but he's not LeBron, and therefore he can't be great because he's not LeBron, and you're comparing to an all-time player here. I thought took away from just how special of a talent he was, that he was always operating in LeBron's shadow. But you were in the locker room with Carmelo at his absolute zenith and the peak of his career. And yeah, I understand in Denver, that was probably when he was his most athletic. But when he got traded to New York and they made that run through Boston, they ended up playing Miami and Indiana one year. That was, in my opinion, the best version of Carmelo because he was a veteran at that point. He was leading the locker room, and the reputation amongst players, very similar to Russell Westbrook, who fans have their opinion of Russ, but players unanimously are like, God, I'd love playing with this guy. You hear a lot of the same about Carmelo Anthony, who gets this reputation as selfish, bully ball, shooting 30 times, shoots too much, type of game. But players loved being in the locker room with him. And you have the experience of when you guys were in New York together at his absolute peak. And I'm just I would love to hear from you what his presence was like at that point in his career when you were a vet and you could have very easily been like, I'm the grandfather of the tribe here. I'm the whatever they call it. There's a chief. I'm the chief of the tribe because I've been around the longest. Right. And that was Carmelo's team. And just your opinion and your thoughts on the way he carried himself as a leader at that point.
That's what we allowed him to be. We all knew it was his team. It was a team full of veterans, so he didn't have to do everything. He didn't have to worry about being a top defender because he had myself, Kirk Thomas, King and Martin, Marcus Camby, Tyson Chandler. He didn't have to worry about leading the team in assists every night because he had Ray Felton, Pablo Prigioni, who else is our guard? Ray, Pablo, Steve Novak, because he was such a good three-point shooter that left Melo open a lot for us to swing that ball. But I would say in the locker room, he was just himself. It's different when now I got some cats around me who I can depend on. Oh, and I forgot, Amari Stoudemire, too, was another big that played with us on that team, defender. So he's like, I got guys around me that know how to play this game. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I got a young horse, a young athletic dog with JR, who just so happened to win the Sixth Man of the Year award on that team that year. And, we was all around. We like Melo, our first thing. I think it might have been Jason Kidd who said to him, look, we know this your team, but we just here for you. So you go out there and you just play. You just do you, play. And I think, Melo was averaging like 29, some shit like that. Yeah. That for that season. And but it's a difference when you can play free like that. I ain't got to worry about my dude to the left. I ain't got to worry about my dude to the right. You know what I'm saying? I can focus on this guy right here in front of me. They can't double team me every night because you know what I'm saying? Like, I can stretch the floor. Then, you had JR and you had other good guys out there who could shoot too. So now it's like, all right, well, if y'all want to double Melo, y'all want to leave somebody open. So I ain't getting doubled every night. So, I think it was like a carefree year for him, man. And look what happened. He ended up winning that scoring title.
People ask you all the time that what would have happened if Detroit drafted Melo instead of Darko? What would have happened? That was a different Melo though back in the day. That was I'm getting shots up Melo. Would he have fit in with y'all?
I think he would have. I would have caught him in the second half of that season because I didn't get there until around that All-Star time. But I don't know. I think Joe was looking more interior, and he had his wing dude in Tayshaun. So I think that's what made him draft Darko. Now to the credit, Darko wasn't chop suey. Like, I just wish that the NBA could have saw him. But in practice, Darko was going at me and Ben all the time. Me, Ben, and Eldon all the time. Darko was athletic. And I'm talking about like athletic. He can give you all the windmills and between the legs, all that, like, reverse dunks, all that shit. He could shoot the three. He could put it on the floor. But Darko was like, man, he just loved being in the NBA, and it was party time for him. So he didn't take it too serious. But damn, yeah, that would have been something though. If Melo would have came and been on that team too, put another dog in the yard, shit.
Well, the Pistons, you want to talk about a team that maximized everyone's role specifically and not going above it. The Pistons were the epitome of that. You've spoken about it, how everyone kind of had a job, and did it. And if I was needed to score that night, you stepped in, like in the video we watched at the beginning of this episode. Like if I need to score 20 and I'm the guy tonight, all right, put the ball right here. Let me go to work. Some nights it was Rip, some nights it was Tayshaun. But if a 2004 version of Carmelo Anthony joined the Pistons and his primary role would have been, or mindset, like, I'm getting buckets, that's what I was put on this planet to do. Do you think he would have fit in with the already veteran-laden team and culture that was built in Detroit that was on the verge of a championship? Would that have messed up the chemistry at all, do you think?
No, I don't think so. Melo has a good IQ for the game. And of course, he would definitely probably would have wanted more of a bigger role, especially just coming off of a NCAA championship, MVP, and all of that shit. But then again, you got Larry Brown, and Larry Brown doesn't mind playing rookies. He's not one of those type of NBA coaches who just fucking hates to play rookies. But I think he would have fit in pretty good, man. It would have been interesting to see. I'll say that.
It's such a unique situation because you clearly missed a star, a bona fide Hall of Famer, one of the greatest basketball talents of the generation. And yet, you not only won one championship, you were one quarter away in San Antonio from repeating and going down as one of the best teams arguably ever. There's only so many that have repeated throughout the entire history of the game. So it ended up working out for the best, I would say, if you qualify and define the word best as winning a championship. And you almost did it back to back without him, when he would have most certainly had a gigantic role. And if there's one night that he goes 1 of 14 because he's young and he's getting up inefficient shots, and y'all stumble in Game 7 in Miami in 2005 because he just didn't have it, and he has his John Starks moment, maybe we're talking about Carmelo Anthony's career in a lot different way. So it certainly worked out for the both of them. That's for you guys as well as him. But one of the most interesting what ifs. Would have certainly loved to get him a ring as well. Was not in the cards, but like Patrick Ewing, like Charles Barkley, there are plenty of names out there who left their mark on the game one way or another without an NBA ring. And in Carmelo's case, him going down as one of, if not the best Olympic basketball players of all time, responsible for carrying the United States past Pau Gasol more times than I can count. When Spain was knocking on the door, him and Kobe Bryant were there to answer the bell. The Redeem Team, you name it. Those are major moments in basketball, not NBA necessarily, but basketball history. And if you're going to talk about a player, if you're going to talk about a player's legacy, the same way that I do with Kareem, and why I think he's my personal GOAT is because I'm incorporating, he's not NBA GOAT, but he's basketball GOAT because of the entire scope of from high school through close. But again, argument for another day. But that is today's Respect the Game. And for this episode of That's What She'd Said, good time to sign off. We will be back same time, same place next week. Thank you guys for making it to the end of the episode. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We always appreciate that kind of stuff. Hit the like button, all those things. Until next time, that's Roscoe Rasheed Wallace. I'm Rob Perez. We will see you on the timeline.
Melo, love you, my guy.